Alright, what's up, y'all? I'm back for part 2 on gravity. So, there were a couple things when I was listening back to my video, and I gotta run some more errands, so it works out well. But when I was listening back to my video, I forgot a major part in it. In the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've tried to have this conversation with people about gravity and these thoughts I have. Well, everyone that knows me knows I like thinking and I like talking about stuff I think about and thinking about different things and challenging the way the world is. So I started to mention it in the last video, but I got off track. And what I was trying to say is, like, I talked to someone about gravity, and then what they did is they ended up looking up the definition of gravity, and it's like it wasn't what we were talking about. And then I got into my spill in the last video about how gravity changed, and it's like they started accepting the rule of relativity, they eliminated gravitrons. There's different things that have happened. So to be able to have the conversation, I realized I need to be on the same understanding as whoever I'm talking to. So I've gone up, I'd really have to like stop and pause and count, but like I want to say I've asked 8 people in about the past week, and it's of multiple ethnicities, ages, and both genders. And I was just like, well, I didn't think this would be tricky. I'd just be like, hey man, I want to have this conversation, and they all know me pretty well, so they know it's kind of going to be something they hadn't thought of or whatever. Like, they know I'm not doing anything weird to them. And I'm like, but to get to where I want the conversation, I got to start with this simple question. What is gravity? And I shit you not, about every single one was like, I don't know. I don't know. And that absolutely shocked me. I was like, what? You don't know? Like, what? So I tried to change my question a little bit. I tried to make it, I was like, maybe they're just overthinking it because they're hearing it from me. And I was like, all right, as I'm asking someone new, I'm like, pretend I'm like 5 years old. I'm just a kid. I don't want to overthink this question. And I walk up to you and I'm like, hey, I was watching Bill Nye the Science Guy and they kept talking about gravity, but I didn't get to see the whole episode. What's gravity? And it's still, I shit you not, I never got a single explanation from a single person. I had, except, I guess the very last one, well, there was 2 of them together. They seemed really bewildered at first, and then one of them went to reach for an object and was like, gonna drop it. And he's like, that's what gravity is. And then that kind of helped trigger the other one. The other one's like, that's why we're not all just floating around. I was like, perfect. Bingo. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know what to take away from the fact that no one could quite tell me what gravity was. That was unexpected and very odd. Now, hold on, I gotta gather my thoughts for a second, because that was just a little piece of information I wanted to share. And then there was actually a whole big part of gravity that I wanted to get into. All right, I remember it now. So that was just a piece of information to add to the story of the last one. I'm just going to continue my thoughts on where these thoughts around gravity are leading me to. And this does tie directly back into fighting and something specific with my style and training. So I think I've really only had this conversation with 1 or 2 people, and I haven't gotten that in depth because I haven't gotten to where I can articulate it good enough. Still figuring it out in my head. But, okay. To give an example of this, it's like I was running around training for a fight. I had a fight camp going on, and I don't do a lot of hitting pads. It's just how my training has ended up. We don't end up with someone holding pads a lot. But I end up going to this place where they're using pads, and we use pads. And I hadn't hit a pad in probably over a year. And I'm not someone that goes hard when I'm practicing. There's times for going hard to push yourself and whatever, but that's not, like, I'm not in there smoking a pad as hard as I can. But it sounds like a fucking shotgun's going off when I'm hitting it. And I'm not trying to brag on myself. Even the most talented fighter I know, I think, said that exact word to me. And it was like just really loud. And it was really fucking unexpected. I'd never done it before. I didn't know it. And I was using like no energy, man. Like it wasn't the behind it. It was that the few people I've talked to it about, I talk about like a praying mantis. Like when you watch the video of it, it's just here and there, here and there, here and there. And it's like once you get that down, the speed and everything is the correct technique is what creates the speed. And then the repetition, it's like power in a way. But I'm really, really starting to wonder about what the power of a punch truly is. And a big thing I get to teaching people, because I remembered this early on when I didn't really know what I was doing fighting, but I'd been doing it for a couple months, and it's like friends had started picking up on that I was taking it serious and going out and doing it. Well, then I had several that wanted to learn. They wanted me to, I guess, teach them how to fight magically for free. When I didn't, I don't know. I'm trying to share things, I guess, with them, or they're asking me things about it. And I kept running into people being like, whoa, I was always taught to wind up and just punch through them. And what they're wanting, I really need to stand up to show you. But it's exactly what you'd think of someone that's punching is like they wind up and they just swing so hard and whatever, and their fist ends up 20 feet back here because they think they're going to go through your head. But the reason that doesn't work in fighting is, okay, say you do that to me, I'm just going to go, and you're going to keep going that way, and I'm going to hit you like 3 times while you're going that way, and then 2 more times while you're getting your balance back, and then 3 more times while you're trying to get your hands up. So you're going to get hit 8 times trying to throw one really hard punch. And we haven't even gotten to the mental side of things about how that's going to mess up your morale, ability, concentration, focus, demeanor, everything like that. Okay, y'all have heard that spill if you trained with me. So, in tying that back, when they're thinking they're going to punch through it, they're thinking that it's going to generate all this power. And it's like, that doesn't seem to be where it is. I got to pause this and do something real quick. All right, back again, better than ever. So, talking about the power of a punch, and it's like, it's not, I started realizing those strikes that I could get to, where it's like I'm not using a lot of energy, I'm just there and back and making like the snapping contact I want to make, I believe is more powerful than those people trying to punch through their head, someone's head. And that's also how those people are how someone injures your hand. You're not retracting at the right time, so you're just driving your hand into a skull and your hand's gonna break. Think about, okay, so I don't have this completely mastered in my head, but the thoughts that are running through my head is, where is the real power or impact in a punch? And just like I was talking about, like people injuring their hand and everything, what that led me to is, it leads me to thinking about, if you've ever at Easter, or maybe just in general, played a game as a kid where it's like you and a sibling each have a hard-boiled egg, and like one side's more pointy than the other, so one of you holds your pointy side up and the other one has it down and gets to hit the egg, and it's like the loser is the one with the broken shell. I don't know if and I get to thinking about that, and I can't remember, I felt like a certain one always breaks first, like it's usually the one holding it, but there's gonna be a technique into it, there's gotta be. It's hard, I don't have the conclusion from that, it's just a thought I'm going through on where the power in a strike is, because you have 2 pretty close to equal objects, and you're striking each other, and it's like, why is one breaking and not the other? And then something else I'm also questioning. Now, mind you, I'm really, really thinking about the idea of a strike and a retraction. If I'm going to punch this steering wheel, I don't want to do this and go through it. I want to be gone. Okay? So, I was like, how could I ever test that, like, with science or something? How could I test power like that? Or just impact. Impact is actually what I'm wanting to test. And it also makes me think of, like, something like, I remember in school, so at the kickoff of a football game, it was in a science class, the teacher's explaining, he's like, that football takes the shape of that kicker's foot for like a millisecond, And then when it straightens back out, that creates momentum and it goes flying. Well, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I know the football does take shape. You can watch it in slow motion and see it. Okay. If we have a rock and there's dripping water, like in a cave, you know what I mean? And that cave water drips for 1,000 years, and like that's what creates a waterfall. Or you know what I mean? Like it erodes the rock away, and you could go through fucking anything with it eventually. Where in the part of the water hitting the rock is the erosion occurring is kind of where I'm at. So what I've got bouncing through my head right now is I'm picturing it slow motion. We got a water droplet falling and it hits. And it looks like we'll picture it looking like a teardrop or something. When it hits, and if we're going super, super slow motion, that teardrop then sort of flattens out and takes the shape of the ground. You know what I mean? Like it flattens out on every side. And as the bottom comes in, or the top of the teardrop, the last part of the drop that's going to hit comes in, it's all kind of going to explode and you're going to have particles go everywhere. Or little droplets, you know what I mean? And what I really would like to know or try to figure out one day is, what if we could like let that water droplet fall, but don't let it break apart? Like, could we end up eroding through it with it just barely, like if somehow, some way, let's say maybe we had a machine so that the rock could move or something, or maybe the droplet moves. But right when the droplet could touch the rock, saying my leg is that, if right when it touches, but not when it goes through and breaks, if right when it touches, we could suck it back up and just make it keep doing it again, do we not believe that would erode the rock the same as if it fell all the way through? I don't know any way to test it, but that's what's going through my head. I'm at 12 and a half minutes now, so we're gonna end this, and I'm where I need to be. But yeah, concepts with Kimber, gonna piss off a bunch of people today. Gravity, and yep,